In this first unit, we're going to look at three different business concepts: the SWOT analysis, the impact effort matrix, and the lean business concept. First, we're going to take a look at the SWOT analysis. So a SWOT analysis is a planning tool that looks at internal and external factors in order to evaluate a project or a business concept. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Here you can see a picture of what a SWOT analysis would look like. So when doing a SWOT analysis, you are looking at the internal factors of your strengths and your weaknesses, and also the external factors, which are opportunities and threats. So with this picture that we've provided here, you can see that there are positive aspects, which are the strengths, internal positives, the opportunities, external positives, and then weaknesses, which are internal negatives, and threats, which are external negatives. The SWOT analysis is a great tool because it is fairly simple and straightforward in terms that you can take a question or a project and think about what are your organization or your program strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and really just brainstorm within those parameters. So let's start by looking at a quick example of a SWOT analysis. This one shows one done by a nonprofit thinking about should we chase after this government contract. So here they say that one of their strengths are that we have a creative team with an impressive list of technical skills, and that they're well versed in the business side of the project, and that they have sufficient financial resources to participate. So remembering that those are strengths because those are internal pieces. They're thinking about their team. What are their strengths? What are they internally doing good at? Then they're going to think internally, what are they not so great at? So they're going to say, our HR department maybe is a little strained, and geographically their office is far removed, and they're not very politically connected. And our top people are not built for long, dull, and repetitive tasks. So then they start looking at external factors. So some of their opportunities are that this government contract can bring a significant revenue increase. So this is external because they're talking about the external contract. And once they're in the system, then they can get more government orders. So again, this is external because this is something that the government can bring in. And then listing this project in our portfolio would boost our image with government and public organizations. So again, that's the outside organizations would see them as, they would have a better image with the outside organizations. Then they're moving to external threats. So they might lose their old customers by diverting resources to the new project. So they might lose people. Travel costs could be prohibitively high. So this is external because the cost can't be controlled internally. They can't say, oh, well, gas is too high, so we're going to start using electric cars. That's something they have immediate access to. And then the bidding process could be a serious drag on financial and human resources. Again, not something they can control. The bidding process is an external factor. So you might say, okay, great, fantastic. I understand this is a SWOT analysis. I see that somebody came up with this, but what are the kind of questions that I would need to ask myself in order to create a SWOT analysis? I see that somebody's come up with these, but I don't quite understand how to make it. So here's a chart of some of the example for questions. So as you're thinking about it, as you're thinking about your SWOT analysis and thinking about your strengths, you can think, what do we do exceptionally well related to our topic? What advantages do we have in our marketplace? Do you have a significant number of people that you serve, or a significant number of people affected by this issue? Maybe you're talking about expanding your program into a new building, and is maybe one of your strengths that you already are at capacity. What valuable assets and resources do you have? That could be that your reserve is very large, or maybe that you have very low turnover. What would those we serve say about our strengths? Do you have good testimony? Do you have a lot of support from the people you work with? What do we have that our competitors do not have? And do we have new innovative services that other people don't? As you're thinking about your weaknesses, you can ask, what could we do better? What are we criticized for or receive complaints about? And where are we vulnerable? Are there specific areas that others see as our weaknesses? Is our location a problem? Are there procedures or processes that we struggle with? Or are there any expertise areas that we lack? Do we really struggle with marketing or anything like that? And then you move to the external areas. So thinking about opportunities. Are there any areas that we're aware of, but we haven't been able to address? Do you know that there's an opportunity out there that you really know you can make your mark on? Do you know that STEM is a big area that you can move forward into, but you haven't been able to address? Are there any trends that you can capitalize on? Any policy changes or social patterns that could affect you in a positive way? And then on the other side of those external factors, are there any threats? Are there any weaknesses likely to make you critically vulnerable or unable to operate? Are there roadblocks? And what are competitors doing that you're not doing that could be an external threat? Or are there any new competitors in the marketplace? And does our competitor offer a better price is always a big question. So these are just some sample questions for a SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis really should be a time for a conversation, really the time to brainstorm and just have a lot of conversation going around a specific topic or question or project idea. But these are some good questions to really get you going. So let's take some time now to look at an example that maybe is a little more specific to a program, an operations standpoint of an after-school program. So the example that we have here now up on the screen is, should we change our approach to homework help at our program? I've had some programs, this is actually an example from one of my programs. We said, should we change the time of day? You know, the kids were getting a little antsy. We talked about, should we change it to a different time of day? Should it be shorter? Should we structure it a little bit differently? And so we sat down and just did a quick SWOT analysis on it. It is something that, you know, can take a little bit of time. Sometimes we could have probably sat down and talked about this for hours, but instead we decided to, we said we're going to talk about this on this staff meeting and we're going to take 30 minutes and really just put our ideas forward. So we sat down and we said some of our strengths are that the veteran staff have been trained in homework help techniques. And we have library book access, so we're able to get new library books changed in here every now and then. We also have computer access. And volunteers like to come in during homework help time. That's we have a lot of kids who are thinking they might want to go to college to be teachers, so that's when they like to come in. And it is quiet time for kids who want it, because, you know, the kids who want to get their homework done, then that is their time for it to be quiet. And kids get homework help. That's a great strength of ours, that they do need some assistance, and so that's their time to get it. Some of the weaknesses that we felt we had were that new staff lacked group management skills, and so their rooms were not as quiet, and so the kids were struggling to get their homework done, which led to the mismatched expectations between rooms. So some rooms, the homework was getting done, and there were very strict expectations, others not so much. We did not have nonfiction books, and so some of the kids were having homework that was needing to have nonfiction books for it, and we didn't have those as readily available. Our kinesthetic learners struggled during homework time. They were really struggling because they wanted to get up and move. Some of the kids didn't get to do any other activities because they left early, and there wasn't as much available space at the end of the day. So we were using our available space in the community center for homework time rather than other activities. Some of our opportunities were that we could get login information for school websites so we could get access for homework information. Peer tutoring was an opportunity. An opportunity was a reading challenge for incentives. Some opportunities where parents were very excited about homework and were very interested in homework getting done. And so that was an external factor to consider. And some opportunities also were different grade levels coming into the program and thinking about that as well. Some external threats that the program faced was free one-on-one tutoring was available at the library just across the street. Some classes didn't have homework, and so that was a piece that was threatening the structure of our program. Parents coming in during homework time and causing a lot of disruptions. Parents coming in during homework time and kids not getting to participate in other activities. And parents wanting homework help as the main focus. So that is how we did the SWOT analysis. We talked through this. I will not tell you what we decided to do because, well, that is a big piece of how the SWOT analysis turns out. I think it's most important to have that discussion as a group and really have all of these pieces come out together, because having that brainstorming session and really having all these pieces come together and really inform your decision is what makes the SWOT analysis a really valuable business planning tool. So as you think about utilizing a SWOT analysis in your program, I encourage you to think about using it for a variety of topics. It really is a great planning tool. You can use it, I think I showed two great examples there, that you could use it thinking about a grant, or you could think about using it as you're planning for your homework time. When you're using a SWOT planning tool, though, I really encourage you to first of all make sure that you're being very honest with yourselves about it. It is easy as you're self-assessing or self-reflecting to maybe be a little kinder, and sometimes even I've seen people be a little harsh, but just try to be very honest. Also, it's important to be very specific. Don't use generalities. With my example of the homework, it would be easy to just say, in terms of threats, parents. But it's important to be specific in order to say parents come early and pick up their children, so then the kids complain that they don't get to participate in other activities. Parents come early, and so then they're disrupting homework time. Parents want homework to be finished when they come and pick up their children. So being specific. Also, make sure that you're taking the time to do it. In my example of when we did the homework one, it was done pretty quickly because it's something that we discussed a lot. It might be something where you need to talk about it multiple times. It might be 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here. It just depends on the topic that you're doing. Also, take some time to think about the causes of strengths and weaknesses. In my example of the homework planning time, I said that the newer staff didn't have as good group management skills. And so one of the steps that needed to be taken was thinking about, okay, that's one of the weaknesses, but that's something that needs to be addressed. That isn't something that should be skipped. That is one piece that can be worked on. That's not a weakness that can't be fixed. So thinking about what is the cause behind the strengths and weaknesses, and is that something we can build upon, or is that something that we can fix? And it's also very important to then create an action plan behind it. In some of these examples, you might say, okay, well, we're not going to change anything, and that's fine. That's what we decided. Or maybe your answer is going to be, yes, we are going to apply for this government grant, and now we need to make a plan. But it's important that you create an action plan after doing the analysis, not just say, great, job's done. So really thinking about what your next steps are going to be. I'm going to encourage you now to take some time and do a SWOT analysis for some new project that you've been thinking about. This can be a project that you are thinking about doing in the next week, in the next month, in the next year, honestly. It can be a small project, it can be a big project. I encourage you to think of something that would be realistic. If not, a few ideas that I've seen people do in the past, it could be, are we thinking about expanding to a new building? Big idea. Should we create a new curriculum coordinator position? Should we change our gross motor time to a new time of day? So think about that. Download the template that we have available for you in the course room along with these sample questions. Of course, you're not limited to those questions. And if you need any support or have any questions for me, feel free to reach out to me with the Talk to Trainer button, or you can email me as well. Thank you.